Hey there, thanks for stopping by. I'm Adar. Today's video, I'll be showing how I challenged myself to undertake this drawing a nose a day challenge that I created. Initially, I planned on doing this challenge for 30 days, but I ended up shortening it, and I'll tell you why in this video, so be sure to watch until the end. I'll also be going over just my general experience on doing this, as well as the sources that I found helpful and not helpful, and just stuff that I learned so that you can undertake one of these challenges yourself. So stick around if all that sounds good to you, and let's get started. Alright, day one. First thing I did was pull up a YouTube tutorial on how to draw noses, and it turned out to be a rapid-fire art tutorial. As you can see here, I gave it a couple of tries, and I'll be honest with you guys, it wasn't working out for me. I was getting more frustrated the more I went on, because, I didn't expect to be perfect on the first try, but in my opinion at the time, whatever I was drawing did not look like a nose at all. I don't know if it was the tutorial or me, but I felt that I was just floating in water. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea why I was drawing the shapes that I was drawing, why it was shaded the way it was shaded. It was just me drawing a nose without knowing what a nose really is and understanding what I'm drawing. I am in no way criticizing rapid fire art tutorials. She has amazing ones, but this one in particular just didn't cut it for me. And at one point I just ditched the tutorial and I pulled up a book that I had on how to draw portraits, and I flipped to the nose page, and it also didn't really work out for me because, again, I was just drawing a nose without any understanding of the nose itself and why the nose is the way it is. And then I was just getting really frustrated at this point. And as a last resort, I pulled up my sister and I'm like, okay, sit there and I'm just gonna draw your nose, okay? And I did, but in my opinion, it did not turn out that great either. And that brings us on to day two. This time, before I did any drawing, I watched another tutorial on how to draw a nose, and this time it was by Proco, which taught me how to sketch out the structure of the nose before drawing it, and I found that this approach was really helpful for me. I also made sure to watch a video on the anatomy of the nose, and I think this greatly deepened my overall understanding of the nose. I do recommend you watch both videos just for future reference for you, even if you don't do this challenge, so I'll leave them in the description below. Also, another thing I changed on day two was that I used the reference, which on day one I didn't. I also think that it helped me a bunch just to really see what I was aiming to draw in front of me as opposed to imagining something in my mind. Overall, I think something really clicked for me on day two, and I think there's a huge improvement since day one. Give this video a thumbs up if you think so too. Okay, now on to day three. I started out with setting a 30-minute timer for myself, and I know that sounds a bit long, but it really isn't. I think I actually even went a bit over the time frame for this nose. I believe I was having a hard time with this nose because you can see me draw, erase, then redraw a bunch of times, which I think we can all relate to at some point. But I cut out a good amount of it in the editing stage just so that it wouldn't take so long. I even go onto my phone at some point and draw lines onto the photo itself so that I could better identify the general proportions. Anyway, if you've watched the tutorial I linked in the description, then you probably have a gist of what I'm doing, or at least trying to do, so I think now would be a good time to explain why I'm doing this challenge in the first place and why noses of all things. Well, I believe all artists have a part or feature of the face, or really anything for that matter, that they're having trouble drawing, and it varies with each artist. But for me, at the time, it was noses. I couldn't really get much farther than a triangle or something like that. You saw my noses on day one, and all I can really say for myself is just, come on. So, anyway, I wanted to up my realism in my portraits a bit, so I decided to tackle one of my weaker spots, which, like I said before, were noses, and then I just came up with this challenge. And now this little ramble brings us on to day four. Once again, we're starting with setting a 30-minute timer, and we're off. And yes, I know you see much more of my head in these clips than you did in previous ones, And I do apologize. I'll admit that I'm still getting used to drawing with the thought that there's a camera over me, and others of experience can also tell you that it's not as easy as it looks. But I'm working on it, and hopefully the more I make these videos for you, the more I'll grow in the quality of my footage. And I know I've said this in previous videos, and I'll say it again, but you shouldn't let perfection stop you from starting something that you've always dreamed of doing, as is with me and this channel, because you gotta begin somewhere, and if you never even start, then you have absolutely no way of achieving your goals. I tell myself this all the time because I admit there is still a part of me that's a perfectionist, but we're all hopefully working on something, right? Thanks so much for your support. Anyway, I think we'll both agree that this nose didn't really turn out good, and I knew then that it was because I didn't spend enough time on it, but I just wasn't feeling up to it at the time, and I just decided to leave it as is. I think a new day calls for a new page, so that's what we're doing here. And next, I'm setting another timer, and we're good to go. I drew in some lines onto my reference photo like I did on days 3 and 4 to help me see the general shape of the nose in question. And I think this is a really helpful tip that you should try out on your own whenever you're doing this sort of thing. It doesn't have to be noses, but if you ever do this challenge or any challenge of this sort, be sure to tag me on my social. I'll leave links to my Instagram and TikTok in the description below. Anyway, now I'm just shading in the nose, and I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but throughout this challenge I'm using graphite pencils ranging from HB to 6B. I'm not sure if I did use a 6B pencil for this nose, but I don't think so. I don't think I was brave enough to do that at this point, so probably not. This nose turned out alright, but I think if I shaded the ball of the nose in more, then it would have more dimension. But anyway, moving on to day 6. Cheers! We're at the halfway point. Woohoo! Sorry, just excited. Anyway, we begin by starting the timer as usual, then do the sketching, followed by the shading. You know the drill by now. On another note, since I'm drawing here at the dining room table, which is known to be a central location of family life, when I was editing, out of curiosity, I tuned into the background noise of my footage, and what I heard there was just hilarious. From hearing my siblings playing with the weight scales.
How much pounds do me and you weigh? I told you. 60? 100. I told you we're 100 pounds. How much were we last time? We were always 100 pounds. When I became 60 pounds. 60 plus 40 is 100.
Which ended in a little squabble about the youngest wanting to make sure their numbers were correct by Siri.
Is it 40 plus 60? 40 plus 60 is 100. Yes. Goodness gracious. 6 plus 4. Can you tell him that 60 plus 40 is 100?
60 plus 40, yeah, 6 plus 4 is 10, so 60 plus 40 is 100.
60 plus 40, he wants to ask theory.
To us having very important discussions concerning price tags.
But is what I really don't understand, many times, they do like $12.99. Why can't they just do 13?
Because so it looks cheaper. Psychologically,
Oh.
it looks cheaper when it isn't. It's
Yeah, I always look at how much it costs and then at the cents. When I see 99, I'm like, they're trying to trick me, but I won't let it.
As well as analyzing first-class compartments on airplanes.
But usually the older people are in first class compartment, you know why? Because they're old and when they were younger, they made so much money, they just enjoy and travel. And plus, the older you are, the harder it is to sit in those small chairs. So they would get cushy ones. How thick are they? As big as those red ones? Yes, as big as these red ones, but they're completely covered in pillows. Like
they are?
Yeah, I remember they
Covered
were
in fuzz?
covered in fuzz. It's like you take pillows and you glue them everywhere. They were very cushy, even the side parts. If you would lie down, it'd be like lying down on a pillow. They were pink and they were flowered.
Really?
Covered in flowers, yeah.
Yeah, lots of little bit cushy chairs.
I think it's remarkable how much an innocent camera can catch when it's connected to a tripod and filming how you draw. I'm starting a 30-minute timer once again, and then we're just starting by sketching the general shapes. I am doing the nose from side view this time, so this shape is just like a triangle. Anyway, I think that day 7 marks a new era in my nose drawing, if I can even call it that. One in which I'm more daring in the darkness of my shading and experiment more as opposed to learning the concept as I did before. Alright, day 8, start a timer, pull up my reference, and we're ready to start. I think the main challenge on this nose for me was the darker skin tone, which, you know, means more shading, right? But I think I did pretty well on this one. It's already been around a week, right? Over a week since I've started this challenge, and at this point I'm growing in confidence in my skills. Okay, on to day 9. I chose this reference photo because it showed the nose at a more, a downward underneath angle, like looking up at the nose. I think you know what I mean. I feel this drawing turned out a success because it actually looks like a nose shot from that perspective. The last time I tried to draw a nose from this perspective was on day number 6. And I mean, I thought it looked fine, but I asked for some critique and I was told that it looked like an upturned nose. Upturned nose? Is that what we call it? I mean, I don't want to say pig nose, but hold up. Let me take a look. Haha, snub nose. But anyway, this nose is definitely an improvement, so I have reason to be proud of myself. I also finished this nose 5 minutes early, so that's another improvement. If, you can call drawing a nose for 25 minutes an improvement, but hey, it's progress. For some reason, I set a timer for 45 minutes here, which probably was by accident. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with how this nose turned out, and I also finished it in 25 minutes like last time, which was also a plus. And definitely it was an accident on my part when I set the timer to 45 minutes because I seem to be totally unaware about it, since when I look at how much time I have left, I go,
Wow. In 10 minutes, Mama, I drew this nose.
And because I initially set the timer for 45 minutes, that means I spent 25 minutes on my drawing and not 10 like I say here. But regardless, let's jump right into day 11. I'm pulling up another reference as usual, but for some reason I don't have footage of how I set a timer. But later you'll see that I did set a timer after all, but whatever. Anyway, I also got this clear plastic board thingy that came with the colored pastel set that I had, and I used it here as a sort of cover for the rest of the noses so that I don't smudge them while I work on this one. And as you can see here, I did set a timer before, but I'm not sure if I changed the timer settings from 45 minutes back to 30, so it's a speculation whether I really finished my drawing in 10 minutes like I thought last time, or if I actually finished it in 25 minutes. But that's that. Moving on to day 12. Woohoo! We made it. Let's have some applause. Pat yourself on the back, and let's get right to it. Today, instead of setting a timer, I decided to set a stopwatch. And I also show here that I'm using a HB, 2B, and 4B pencil. And we're all set, so let's begin. As I say in the introduction, this was supposed to be a 30-day challenge, but I'll be honest here, at this point I was just so sick of drawing noses, and I felt that I was pretty satisfactory in this field, so there was no point in me drawing yet more noses for the next 18 remaining days. And for some reason, I don't end up showing how much time this nose took me, and that might be because either I forgot to put it on video or something like that, or I just forgot about the stopwatch altogether and just let it run for forever. One or the other, probably the latter though, because it's more like me to do that. But anyway, it's been so great spending time with you here. If you enjoyed this video or learned something, comment down below. I try my best to respond to your comments, so I'd love to hear what you have to say. And while you're at it, it would be really nice of you to subscribe and hit the bell. You probably won't regret it since we have such a nice growing community of fellow artists here. But most important of all, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye bye.